Peace be with you, dear comrades and friends. This is a message from Christians for Socialism. We are an international movement of people inspired by the example of Jesus and his comrades, who want to work for a better world. We're happy to speak to you this weekend. A few days ago was the 1st of May, the International Day of Struggle and Celebration of the Workers' Movement. We celebrate all the victories of our comrades in the struggles of the last year, but also those of the previous years, the previous generations. And we also commemorate all the martyrs who have been murdered by the system of oppression that only exists to protect the interests of the capitalist ruling classes. The 1st of May is also the day that our Anglican comrades celebrate the feast of Saint Jacob, sometimes called James, who was the brother and comrade of Jesus. All Catholic comrades celebrate this feast today, on the 3rd of May. This great saint was a great champion of justice, who had a clear class consciousness. In his epistle to his comrades he writes, "And now you wealthy ones, you'd better start weeping and wailing because of all the troubles that are coming to you. Your wealth is rotten and moths are attacking your fashionable outfits. All your gold and silver is rusting, and all that rusty metal will testify against you. It will consume your flesh like a fire. You have hoarded a criminal amount of wealth while the last days are approaching. Just hear how the wages that you robbed from your workers while they were working on your plantations are now crying out against you. Hear how the cries of your workers are rising up to reach the ears of the God of the masses. You have celebrated in this world order. You have eaten and banged. You have fattened yourselves for the day of slaughter." Now Jacob, just like his brother Jesus and all the other prophets, they realized that the poverty of the poor only exists because of the wealth of the wealthy. He realized that this wealth was only the wages that were robbed from the workers. And he knew that the God of the prophets was a radical God. A God who had chosen the side of the exploited and oppressed masses against the opulence of the wealthy class. This God has seen the suffering of the exploited masses under the system of slavery and heard their cries for liberation and justice. Then she decided to come down into our world to inspire ordinary people, like the refugee Moses, to rise up against the pharaohs and the Caesars of their time. Comrade Jacob reminds us that it's important to have faith in this God, but having faith is not enough. He wrote, "Comrades, what good is it to claim that you have faith, but that faith doesn't show itself in your praxis? Could such a faith save you? Suppose one of your comrades is without clothes and without food. If one of you tells them good luck, keep warm, well fed, without doing anything to help them in their physical need, then what's the use of it? In the same way, faith in itself, when it's not translated into praxis, is dead. Maybe some people will say, why don't you do your deeds? Well, I'll have my faith. To them I answer, then show me where your faith is to be found, if you have no praxis to show me. I can easily prove my own faith by showing the praxis that inspired it. And by the way, the word praxis means faith put into practice, put into acts. The myth that we can be liberated by belief alone is an idealist fiction that is used by the ruling classes to keep us from rising up against their power. They want us to believe that just by having the correct thoughts in our head, we will be liberated by being allowed in an ideal heaven after we die. That's only because they don't want us to become active in a movement to change this material world that we now live in. Yes, we have faith. We have faith in a God who has inspired prophets to be active, to work for a better world. Our God did not tell Moses to believe that everything will be alright after he died. Moses was told to go to the people and tell them to organize and rise up against Pharaoh. He was told to go and confront the ruler and tell him that the God of the enslaved masses demanded freedom for her people. And we have faith in the promise that this God will bless our struggle. Moses was an outcast, a refugee with a price on his head when he started the movement. Still, this struggle was supported by God, and it succeeded. David was a poor shepherd boy with only a slingshot as a weapon, but with God's help he put down the giant Goliath. Jesus and his comrades were just a queer bunch of working class people who planted a little seed of a movement for social justice. But this seed turned into a tall tree that produced the sweetest of all possible fruits. The working class movement of the last 2 centuries have struggled for a fair wage and for humane working conditions. Their struggle was hard and difficult because ruling classes used every possible means to destroy them. Countless workers have been murdered by the system of oppression. Today, on this 1st of May, we commemorate these martyrs and pray that our God will give them the peace and the consolation they deserve. But many of these struggles have also been successful. When the exploited and oppressed masses unite for justice, God truly blesses their struggle. And that is why we are rebuilding the movement of Christians for Socialism. The original movement was started in the 1970s in Chile by 80 people. It quickly grew nationwide. And when the fascist dictatorship of Pinochet tried to crush it, it spread out to become an international movement instead. Today, there are still base groups of this original movement in several countries. To these original base groups, we added our online community, which now has over 600 members. We have faith that our movement will keep on growing. We have faith that our struggles against the evils of capitalism is blessed. We have faith that our God will guide us and make our actions successful. We have faith in these words of Comrade Jacob. Be strong, comrades, and stay steadfast. Know that God will come soon. A farmer who works for the fruits of his field has no other option than to wait patiently until winter is over and the spring rains have done their job. You also have to be patient and steadfast. Know that God will come soon. That is all for today, dear comrades and friends. Thank you for listening, and may God's peace and blessings be with all of you. Amen.